Hello everybody. If you watched my last video, you'll see that I built my first two budget 1080p gaming PCs. I sold one of those PCs for $500 on Facebook Marketplace, and the other PC I'm going to be giving to my girlfriend's son for Christmas. After seeing my success with the first budget 1080p gaming PC that I sold, I decided to keep this series going. But if you'll see in my last video, I mentioned that I had actually broken my personal computer's motherboard. So let's talk about what happened. Basically, what happened was I found a used GPU on OfferUp for $80. It was the RX 5700 XT that I'm going to be using for this next build. When I got the GPU, I really wanted to test it out as soon as I got home, and in a rush, I went to pull out my graphics card from my personal computer, and not being careful, I actually scraped my motherboard and broke it. So if you're ever pulling out a graphics card from your PC, just make sure you're extra careful to not let the back plate of your graphics card scrape the motherboard, because it can be a very expensive repair, or you'll just end up having to replace the motherboard. Unfortunately, in my local area, the only business I could find that would repair the motherboard, it would cost $95. So I just ended up buying a new motherboard and sold the broken one for parts only on eBay for only about 30 bucks. So that really bit into our profit that we made from our last PC that we sold, but it is what it is. And we're just gonna go forward with this next build, and hopefully we can make some good profit off of this one. So for this next build, I'm actually gonna also list it on Java. This is gonna be my first time listing on Java, and I just wanna see how the platform works and see how well it is for selling gaming PCs. I also wanna get some experience with shipping PCs, so we'll just see how that works, and hopefully using Java, we can tap into a bigger customer basis and hopefully make some more money instead of selling just locally. So we got a busy day ahead of us. I gotta paint the graphics card and the CPU cooler. We're gonna be painting those white because it's gonna match the aesthetic of our all white build, since I also got an all white motherboard, a white RAM kit. Also, I'm gonna install an ARGB hub to the PC for my girlfriend's son, because I wasn't able to get the ARGB to work with that PC just using the case alone. So I'm gonna install that hub and see how that works out so I can get all the colors matching. But let's go over the parts list I used for this next gaming PC. For this PC, I used a Ryzen 5 5500, two 16GB sticks of DDR4 memory clocked at 3200 MHz with a CAS latency of 16, a 1TB NVMe Gen 3 SSD, a Gigabyte RX 5700 XT 8GB, a DIY PC ARGB Q3 white micro ATX case, a Seagotep 650 watt 80 plus gold power supply, and an ASRock B550M Pro SE motherboard. I also threw in some cable extensions and a Wi-Fi adapter. So I'm gonna get this graphics card, taken it apart, clean it up, repaste the GPU die, and then I gotta paint the shroud and the backplate. And I'm also gonna have to paint the CPU cooler. So I'm gonna start with that, get that taken care of. Hopefully it comes out good. I'll show you guys the finished product when I'm done. And then after that, we will start to get this PC built. I'll see you guys soon. All right, so yesterday I spent the whole day painting the graphics card and the CPU cooler, and it was a lot of work. I actually didn't expect it to take a whole day to complete. I actually had to make a trip to the store to grab some air duster, which is very expensive, so I definitely need to invest in an air gun. And yeah, so I think it came out pretty good. This is the finished product. So overall, I think this was definitely worth it for the aesthetic. Yeah, it was a lot more work than I thought. This is what the CPU cooler looks like. I didn't paint the fan blades. I kind of wanted to go for that black and white combo that the graphics card has as well. But yeah, overall, I think it was a success. So it's early in the morning, and I'm not gonna waste your guys' time anymore. Let's get this PC built, and then we can start into the benchmarks and just see how things look, and hopefully it works. All right, so I got the computer built and now I'm just gonna hook it up to a monitor and make sure everything works. And if everything works fine, then I'm gonna start cable managing it. So that's where I'm at right now. All right, so the system did boot up and I'm happy to see that all the lights on the graphics card were working as well. So that's really good. Got a post, so that's really good. And we got our total memory there, and it says it's already running in 3200 megahertz, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm just happy that the computer's working, and I'm gonna shut it down now and start getting everything cable managed and then get everything set up. We got the PC running. Everything's looking good so far. Right now I'm just downloading some games, and then first thing tomorrow I'm gonna run some benchmarks on the CPU and the GPU and then play 3 games to kind of test out the computer, see how well it performs. But yeah, so everything went well with the build. Nothing I can really complain about. And what is cool is that this motherboard has an ARGB header. So I was able to sync the fans to it, to the motherboard. So now whoever buys this PC can actually adjust the RGB on the motherboard through software on the computer. But yeah. Right now, I'm just waiting for these games to download, and then first thing tomorrow, we'll benchmark the computer and play some games on it and see how well it does. In Call of Duty Warzone, using the Ultra preset at native 1080p resolution, we were getting about 80 to 100 FPS, and I would say the average was about 85 FPS, but it played really smooth and looked really good. But as you can see, the CPU was staying at a toasty 80 degrees Celsius, so I was hoping that would be a little bit cooler, but with the stock AMD cooler, that's to be expected. Now, using the Ultra preset, but with FSR 3.0 set to quality at 1080p, we were getting 100 plus FPS, which is really good. It played very smooth and looked really good. So I think FSR can help out in a lot of games, and I think it's definitely recommended for esports titles to get that higher FPS. Playing Fortnite at 1080p DirectX 12 using the Epic preset with the frame rate set to 144 with a 3D res scale of 72%. We were getting some major stutters and even some screen tearing, but after playing for a little bit, letting things load in and even out, we were getting about 60 FPS, but sometimes we were getting lows of 55 FPS, maybe 50 FPS. So for this title, I definitely wouldn't use these settings, especially since it's a competitive esports title. Now, playing at 1080p DirectX 12 using the high preset with a frame rate set to 120 and a 3D res scale of 72%, we were definitely getting a much smoother experience, and we were seeing an FPS of about 90 to 100. So using these settings with this computer, it was definitely a lot better, and I think this would be preferred when playing an esports title like this. We get good visuals, and it was a high enough FPS for an esports title. Playing the finals using a medium preset, no upscaling, just TAAU with a res scale of 100. We were getting about 100 FPS, and I think it stayed, for the most part, pretty consistent. But if you notice, our GPU and CPU utilization was extremely high, but the temperatures weren't too bad, so I was happy to see that. This is definitely playable at this setting, and it looks really great too, so I was happy with this performance of the computer. Now, playing at 1080p high settings using FSR 2 set to quality, we were getting a little bit better FPS. I feel like this was a little bit smoother, but we were still getting lows in the 90s, and the GPU and CPU utilization stayed relatively the same, so not much of a change there using the upscaling. So overall, I was really impressed with the performance of this computer. It did very well in all of these titles, and we even did a 3D Mark Steel Nomad benchmark, and it got a score of 2,123, which I think is really good since it's just a little bit below the average score. For this PC, in total, I spent exactly $529.94, and that's including all of these smaller things that I needed to buy, including the packaging or shipping the computer, as well as paint and other things to add to it. But in reality, you could actually get this build for around, I think, $490. I'll list in the description all the parts that I used and from where I got them. As of recording, prices have changed, so the price for this computer can vary. And it also depends on where you are in the country because taxes are different for each state. And I'm in California, so we have a much higher sales tax. I listed this computer on Java for $799. I know this is a pretty high price, but I wanted to give myself some room for profit since Java is going to charge transaction fees. as well as shipping insurance. On OfferUp and Facebook Marketplace, I listed the PC for $775 just to give myself some room for negotiating. More than likely, I'll probably sell the PC for around $700 to $740, but we'll just see how it goes. I really hope it does sell on Java though, because I really want to gain some experience selling computers online and just see how it works on this platform and see if this will be a platform I'll continue to use to sell my gaming PCs. But yeah, that does it for the build, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments what you think about this build and how much you think I should sell it for, and any tips when it comes to video editing or building PCs or anything is really appreciated. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoy my next video. I'll see you guys again soon.